Welcome to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast from Discovery Park of America in Union City, Tennessee. Today's episode is brought to you by First Choice Farm and Lawn.
Thank you, Zach, and welcome everybody to Real Foot Forward, a West Tennessee podcast where we explore the history, the people, and the culture of our home here in West Tennessee. I'm your host, Scott Williams. Okay, Zach, as usual, before I introduce today's special guest, tell me something you discovered this week at Discovery Park of America.
Well, considering today's guest, I wanted to discover something about weather, and it just so happened this morning I went to Cooper Tower and I discovered one of our info panels is about West Tennessee weather. I discovered we are in the Dixie Alley tornado region, that tornadoes can hit the hardest in April, May, and November, which recently that is the case. And also discovered we have 4 weather cameras on top of the Discovery Center that is used by WPSD and WBBJ. I thought that was cool.
That's very, very cool. Thank you for that one. Our guest today is Brent Callicott. Brent is, and we'll find out if he's from Union City or if he just lives in Union City, but I know him as the weatherman. So welcome, Brent.
Hey, thank you guys for the invite. I'm very honored.
Yeah, to sum you up before we go back and talk about your beginning, when you live in a rural community like we do and you don't have a local meteorologist or a local news station, you're really kind of dependent upon those that are further away. And so you really fill in a huge gap for all of us.
Well, I think you can say thank you to social media because of that. Growing up, born in 1964. When you progress through life, we basically had 3 major networks for TV, and that was ABC, NBC, and CBS. No such thing as cable. And then all of a sudden in the late 70s and 80s, things started changing with cable network. And then you had things come along like the Weather Channel with things, and then social media. So this has allowed me to take my passion of weather to a area that I never dreamed would happen. This wasn't planned. So actually, it was an idea of my wife and my daughter back several years ago. And so I just am a weather nerd, a weatherologist, a weather enthusiast, whatever you want to call it. I did take a couple of classes at UTM back then. Now they do offer meteorology and stuff there, but I didn't want to move away. I'm a hometown guy, born and raised here in Obion County and Union City, matter of fact. So I've lived here all my life, and most all my family has as well.
Back us all the way up. What did your parents do for a living when you were growing up?
My dad was a lifelong truck driver, over the road truck driver, 44 years. Worked for the late Real Foot Packing Company that was here. Drove there 28 years, and then moved in with the Averitt Express, and then locally finished up his career at Reynolds Brothers Oil Company, hauling gasoline. And my mother has always worked like a bookkeeper and what have you. And then she ended up retiring. So, just salt of the earth kind of people. I'm blessed to still have them here and healthy enough that I can enjoy them every day.
We were just talking a minute ago. You're getting ready to go fishing after you get done with this. Are you a big fisherman?
I am. Grew up fishing. Cut my teeth on Reelfoot Lake back in the late 1960s. My family dates back to fishing down there. I had a great grandfather that made his living off of Reelfoot Lake. So I know a lot about Reelfoot Lake. My mother's from there. So I'm, yeah. And the weather, that's what kind of want to talk about is weather is something that affects every single one of us every single day. You guys going to work, how you're going to dress. I'm going fishing. Well, what's the winds going to be like? There's sporting activities this weekend. Well, it's supposed to rain. So weather, I paid attention to weather as a child because we had to know if it was going to be raining, stormy, windy, sunny, hot, cold, whatever, when we were hunting and fishing as a kid. So my passion really started at the age of 4 or 5 years old with lightning and thunder. That just drew my attention. So that's how I become the weather enthusiast that I am today.
So growing up, Did you have grandparents who lived on a Reelfoot Lake all the way back then?
I did. My family, my mother's side, my great grandfather. I was blessed to know four of my great grandparents, and one of my great grandfather was a commercial fisherman on Reelfoot Lake.
Wow.
And I can tell you stories about the lake. I actually was blessed to go with him on the lake in the 1970s. So I date back to that, and I've seen it change. I can take you to places on Reelfoot Lake right now that I fished with him back then that you cannot get to now
Huh.
because of the siltation and the growth of the lake.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. That ties a lot into what you do with weather and your interest in weather. What part of the lake did your grandparents live on?
They actually live in Sandburg, and that's and back then that was a really blossoming community with a lot of tourists. And as time went on, their Discovery Park, you guys have some amazing photos of Reelfoot Lake, and got a section that's on based on Reelfoot Lake, and it's a treasure not only to our area but the state of Tennessee and the United States of America. And Reelfoot Lake, which was formed by the Great Quake of 1811, 1812, sits right beside the largest river known in the world, I guess, the Mississippi River. So there's a lot of things that tie in, and weather ties into all that. And I'll say something about the Mississippi River on that shortly.
So, you obviously had an interest early on in weather. Did you think about leaving and going to college and majoring in meteorology or whatever weathermen major in?
I did a little bit, but back then, late 70s and early 80s, you basically had to travel away from here. Mississippi State University was one of the closest that had a great meteorology department, and I wasn't that kind of guy. I tried college. I went to UTM for quite some time in Dyersburg State, and it just wasn't for me. So I went in the workforce, and I've done a little bit of this and that, but ended up my career now. I'm full time funeral. I work at the funeral home at White Ransom Funeral Home in Union City. I've been doing that 27 years.
And so I knew that you worked there and you did weather. And so people who work in funeral homes actually see literally some weeks hundreds and hundreds of local folks. I'm sure you get constant questions and comments and things like that about weather. Is that right?
That is correct. No matter where I go, working with a family, it's amazing that the amount of people that come up that I have no clue who they are, that follow my weather page and have known me and gotten to know me. So yes, that is true. And the funeral industry, there again, you're dealing with weather. We have to go out and with barrel sites and things, and there's a lot of things. If you have bad weather, people may not show up for funerals as much as they would if it's a beautiful sunny day. So there again, weather has an effect on that, industry, just like at Discovery Park. You have a rainy day, you may not have as many people come into Discovery Park as you do a beautiful 75-degree day.
Yeah, you have no
So
idea with our live events how often, I check, my apps that I have and, we want to for Rhythm on the Rails. We need to know, is it going to, a little rain is not horrible for live music, but thunder and lightning, we have to shut down. So we have to know exactly when to call it. And it is the hardest thing. You're one of the places that I go, and I discovered you when we first moved here. There was a storm and, I'm trying to find weather coverage and I'm looking at Paducah and I'm looking at Jackson and I'm looking at Cape Girardeau and all of those. We are a little tiny dot in the far edge of the TV screen. We're sort of the co-stars in all those cases. So you don't get very good, but I somehow stumbled across your Facebook page and you were actually out driving, showing things, talking about what was happening. So it was really helpful. So started following you and have followed you ever since. Um, so talk to me a little bit about your first decision to get on Facebook and start talking about weather. What was the impetus to that?
well, giving back, bringing weather awareness. I think is the best way I put it, especially when I speak to hundreds of school age children from the age of, kindergarten all the way up to seniors in high school. Actually, I was at Discovery Park I believe it was last fall, and spoke to the homeschool group out there. There's over 100 kids, right at 100 students. And so the passion of that and trying to kind of help and I think that's the main thing is giving back. We're only on this earth so long, and I try not to be a selfish person. So I want to be unselfish and I want to help others. I think that falls in line with my job, even though I do get paid to do that. But I'm a volunteer and I don't get paid to do this, but it just does take some time. But there again, I just want to make our community a better community, and it's branched out a little bit more than what I expected. That's because of social media, but I try to center my enthusiasm of weather more locally and slightly regionally instead of nationally. But you can depend on what we're going to have weather-wise if you pay attention to the way the weather works, what they may get in Western Arkansas. It's a pretty good chance we're going to get it in West Tennessee. But whatever they have in Michigan, chances are we may not get it in West Tennessee. So there's a lot that goes into that too.
So you can look at Facebook and see, you can go all the way back to the beginning of your Facebook post. For all of us can go back to the beginning of our Facebook post and kind of see that we were trying to figure it out, depending on when somebody got on Facebook. What were your first posts like? And did you have an idea of where you wanted to end up, or did you just jump in and start posting?
I when I started, it started blossoming pretty quickly, and then all of a sudden, I just did not pursue it like I'm pursuing it now. Um, and I had, quickly, I had 100, 200, 500,000, 1,500. I got up to about 4,000 people, and it seemed like, as far as followers go, and it seemed like it kind of slowed down a little bit. But I think that was the reason why. The reason that was is I was not pursuing it and on there every day. Now that I've gotten more followers, um, I'm on here every day, and it may be late at night. I could be at work. I could be on the lake if I have self service, and I just try to keep everybody informed, especially when there's severe weather. And if I can save and protect one person's life, um, it's worth it. And two things that I share with students is turn around and don't drown, and when thunder roars, go indoors. Those are two things that are deadly to society with weather that we have no control of. But it's up to you to make sure that you take the precautions, from baseball coaches or any sport coaches to school teachers with recess, to church groups, that may be out camping groups. Just be weather aware, and that's what I'm trying to do locally and trying to bring that to people.
You're an interesting person because you've been here your whole life. Have you seen changes in the weather patterns in your lifetime?
I think to some degree, yes. And I think the reason that is today we have more access to weather apps. We have access to more reporting of weather of what's going on. Um, Nowadays with national news media, that's your CNNs, your Fox News and stuff, your Weather Channel. Everybody can know what everybody's getting weather-wise. With the recent flooding in Reeves, Tennessee, that brought national news. A small community that's just, has a railroad track that splits the community. That flooding affected so many lives down there that made it drew the national attention. And so, yes, I have seen weather change. It seems like more for the severe weather part. Recently, we're a wetter pattern than we've been in. I go back to 2018. We've been above normal on our precipitation, and it seems like weather is a little more severe now than it
Yeah, I've
used to
never,
be.
until I moved here, I had never actually seen hail. And now I've actually seen hail. I mean, just the other day. I mean, it was coming down. I mean, it was pretty
Yeah,
big.
yeah. And Martin, here one of our 4 or 5 severe weather risk weeks that we've had so far this year, Martin was plummeted with some, golf ball and basic almost tennis ball size hail. I've never seen hail that big here. Um, and so, yes, I think weather has changed. I don't know if it's for the better, but all of us would love the 75-degree year-round weather and sunny skies, and it didn't rain all the time. But like I often tell people, living in the mid-South where we live, if people would think of it this way, and I share this with a lot of my groups that I speak to, right here where we live, we experience it all. We experience snowstorms, we experience severe weather, we experience bitter cold, we experience extreme heat, extreme wetness, extreme dryness. When you go to other parts of the country, places like New York or in Minnesota or Southern Florida, they don't experience it, everything that we do. So you get it all right here. And the old saying has always been, hang around 3 days and the weather's going to change. So yeah, weather I think has changed a little bit. Um, but I think nowadays technology, we have so much technology today, we almost kind of overdo ourselves in forecasting.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I've got some questions I want to ask you about safety.
First Choice Farm and Lawn is proud to serve our community. With their exceptional customer service, certified technicians, and a knowledgeable staff, they're sure to take care of all your outdoor lawn care needs. Visit them at 1800 West Reelfoot Avenue in Union City or at any other location in Tennessee, Kentucky, and Arkansas. For more information, visit firstchoicekubota.com or find them on Facebook.
I hope you're enjoying the Real Foot Forward podcast from Discovery Park of America. If you are, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a positive review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Our guest today is Brent Callicott, who helps keep us safe when it comes to weather here in Union City. I'm curious, Brent, you obviously keep an eye ahead on the weather headed this way. What are the first things that you do when you see the threats of a really big storm headed this way?
I try to get on, and what I try to do is with my weather page, I do a lot of sharing. I share a lot of information from the National Weather Service. The National Weather Service, which is it's a federal government run weather service. I'm a volunteer with them out of Memphis as a Skywarn spotter, which they've kind of dropped that program, but I'm basically eyes to the sky. Whatever we have here, I relay to them. And so I'm a member of a couple other organizations that tie into the National Weather Service. So, um, it's just it's amazing that the amount of information that's out there, how that ties into what we're going to do to try to forward that information. And I want to share that with my weather page. I want to share everything. Then I will actually give my personal opinion of what I kind of see that's ahead and try to use my best knowledge. There's some people that try to overblow things. I try to look at it in common sense way, and I try to explain it in a common sense way that everybody understands it.
And so, I'm assuming that as soon as things start to look bad, all of a sudden you start getting emails and phone calls and Brent, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Is that what happens?
Yes, I do. Phone calls from schools. I've got a phone call this week about the storms that moved in. They moved in a little bit earlier, I believe on Tuesday, than what we first thought. And so they were trying to dismiss some schools early, after school programs. And so Yes, I get a lot of, okay, but in recently, in the last few years, recent area coaches will call me, even during football playoffs. They will call me that afternoon. What do you think? What's your honest opinion? And I will give them my opinion, but I will also tell them I have access to actually call the meteorologist live in Memphis, and I can speak one on one, and I'll give them the number. But yes, I get a lot of phone calls, and I try to give advance notice. One thing I've noticed this year is, and I follow two or three people on Facebook that are true meteorology type people that are weather nuts, and they Reed Timmer is one. I advise anybody that wants to follow a tornado chaser. Reed Timmer is the guy. He's got the Dominator 3, and when he forecasts things, he gets up every morning and they chase these storms all over the United States. A lot of things that he says is very true, and his passion for weather, and there's Tom Skilling, which retired from WGN Weather and News. I watched Tom Skilling from Chicago every day because he explained weather, not only what was happening in Northern Illinois, but what was going to happen throughout the country. So I want to collect that data, put it and process it to a different form to everybody out there that they may understand it better for our area, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because it is challenging, and I want to shout out to one of my best friends is Joey Solopek, former meteorologist for Fox in Memphis, and I follow him, and he still reports a lot of the weather. Really great guy. Um, and so, there's nothing like, like we canceled last Friday night's Rhythm on the Rails because thunderstorms were coming through. And then Friday night by 6:30, blue skies, nothing happening. I'm like, oh man, because you always hate to cancel something and have everybody think, oh, why didn't they go ahead and then all of a sudden, I mean, out of nowhere, boom, this storm came through. And I mean, it was like a typhoon at my house here in Union City.
Yeah.
So it was good that we canceled it because we would have had ruined equipment. And I mean, the rain was going sideways part of the time. So it's hard for us to know what exactly is going to happen.
Yeah, they had the TSSAA, the Tennessee State High School spring fling has been all this week, and so there's a lot of patterns that came into play with that, and ended up a lot of sports had to cancel on Tuesday because of the weather, but yet it started moving more rapidly. So that's one thing we can't control is the speed of these systems, and it seems like um, they do speed up a lot of times, but sometimes they do not. And it's you got to be careful. I have to be careful. I don't want anybody to understand that I'm predicting the weather. I'm just telling you in my form of what's going to be happening. It's better nowadays in life to be on the safe side than to take that chance, especially have an opportunity you can make up dates or whatever. And there's some things you cannot prevent. You just cannot do. Going in the summertime, it's going to be less, maybe the type of storms that pop up in the afternoon, showers. But we're moving out of the transition period of severe weather, probably in June, and it'll really start settling down. So it'll get warm, and when it does, then the major storms will kind of subside for a few months.
Yeah, I don't know. In around here, warm is kind of an understatement. It's going to get hot as blazes out there. It's already
Yeah.
hot and humid right now.
Yes, it is.
Last night
Yes.
was really
Yes.
was really hot. I was sweating. Well, this has been great. Before we go, though, just are there some tips you want to provide everybody? I know safety is a big part of your mission. Things that you would like to recommend or suggest. Should we have a weather radar? Should we have a candle? What should those of us that are not prepared for the weather, what should we do?
Well, one of the things that I've really been pushing the last several years is everyone needs to have a weather radio. Midland makes a really great weather radio. It's not very expensive. You can get those. They're roughly around $35. It's a Midland WR120. That it's the best one on the market. I tell everybody where I go speak, weather radio is almost as crucial as having a smoke alarm in your house, because with severe weather approaches, that is going to alert you if you're asleep. That's one thing. The turn around, don't drown. Do not drive in flooded waters. It's flooding kills. Flooding is one of the number one, number two death rates of storms that will cause issues that we deal with. And we've seen that locally. Luckily, we've not had a lot of injuries and stuff from what we've experienced in 2025. When thunder roars, go indoors. When you hear thunder, you're gonna see lightning, and a lot of times the closer the thunder and lightning is together, that means that's just closer to you. That's three things. And also, you've all got cell phones. Everybody's got cell phones. Cell phones are a great tool. Use that tool. Get your weather app, and follow weather with that. They've got alerts
Is there a weather app that you like better than the other weather apps out
Okay,
there?
yeah, that's good question. I use WeatherBug. The reason why I use WeatherBug has what is called Sparky. Sparky has a lightning detection, and it will actually show you to a pinpoint of where you live, where the last lightning strike. I've actually been trying to compare that this year. Really amazing. It's free. It's a free app, WeatherBug.
I'm
And
downloading it right
Sparky
now.
yeah, WeatherBug, it's good. And AccuWeather. AccuWeather's good. AccuWeather has a timeline on the rain moving in, and usually it's pretty close. It's pretty close. And that's two that I really do recommend folks to have. But WeatherBug is really a good one, and they're both free apps.
Hey, thank you for what you do, because I know, I mean, you're not doing this for money. You're not, you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and it's you're filling a gap that is crucial for those of us that live here. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity, and I welcome anybody to follow me on Brent's Weather page on Facebook. And, I'm on there quite a bit, and I gain followers every day. Seems like when the severe weather hits or a snowstorm and I'm on there more, I really get a lot more people that start following. So, hey, I'd love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you to all you listeners who joined us today at Discovery Park of America. Shout out to our friends over at First Choice Farm and Lawn for sponsoring today's episode. Our mission here is to inspire children and adults to see beyond. To plan an experience here for you and your family, visit discoveryparkofamerica.com.